Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies and welcome to the tip section of Top Brass. As you know friends that we give marketing tips to people, whoever wants to use it, and today we want to discuss something that we experience every day. But before we start the discussion, let me welcome my friend Mr. Naval Gund from London.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. And today's tips arena is around people on LinkedIn. There are several hundred million people now on LinkedIn, and there are probably about 3 or 4% of so-called advisors talking about how to make the most out of LinkedIn. And what we see currently is CK and I have had an influx of people coming through and saying, I would like to connect with you. But it's almost as though there's several standard phrases that are utilized within LinkedIn. One of which is, I see we have lots of mutual connections. It would be good for us to connect. Now, there are several hundred million people on LinkedIn around the world. Not necessarily local to you, and people are desperately connecting with people that other people seem to be connected to. Why is that? Why would that motivate you? So we thought that a little discussion between CK and myself might just open up the idea of how to network, specifically, I suppose, on LinkedIn. So when you get people asking you to connect on LinkedIn, do you see these standard phrases, CK?
All the time, Neville. In fact, let me share my experience that I had between yesterday and today. So I got a message saying that, hey, please join my free blah, blah, blah. And, you can get this advantage, that advantage and all that. So I wrote to the person saying that, hey, did you ever look at my profile before sending that message? So that person was intelligent, and she said that I've looked at your profile. I think your profile is quite good, but nevertheless what I was offering is free, so no harm in sharing with you. All right, so that is one segment. The second one is exactly what you said, mutual connections, and I will like to explore opportunities, maybe partner with you, blah, 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 all standard phrases. And then I said, hey, did you ever look at my website? Because you seems to be so interested in me and my services. Have you seen my website? Because what you are actually offering me is selling smartly on LinkedIn. So after 1 hour, this person says, yeah, I've seen your website and you have mentioned these activities like CRM and selling and all that. And there could be a campaign designed around these services that you offer on your website through LinkedIn. So my next question was, from your intelligence, can you tell me that people are still buying these services? So then the next response was, yeah, a handful of it. Then I got really wild and I said, look, your standard pitch will not work. Please change your pitch and come back to me. So these are the recent examples of what I faced between yesterday and today.
I mean, the interesting thing is you're actually going back to these people and responding. I would love to see some statistics about how many people actually do respond and actually do connect with others. I quite often just generally accept people's connections because I do believe that perhaps they've done a little bit of research about why they would like to connect with me. I'm just one of the several hundred million on LinkedIn. So why me? And it's a question that I go back to them, why me? Very honestly and openly. And sometimes I get well, if you don't want to connect with me, then we can block each other. And I'm thinking, well, that's an interesting response because you asked me to connect and I'm now just asking you a very simple question. Why me? Now, is that confrontational? I don't think it is. But perhaps we need to think again. Maybe I should say, thank you so much for asking me to connect. I'd really like to know why you identified me apart from everybody else. And my answer to that is that's just creating behavioral waste, because I can do a click and paste and put that in there, and it just takes you longer to read it. Why me? Question mark. Is not being insulting. You made the first approach. I'm now asking, okay, why? What's going to come of this? But going back to this mutual connections, as I say, there are several 100 million people on LinkedIn, and they're all over the world. And I suppose in many respects, of the number of people that I'm actually connected to on LinkedIn, I really know very few. And that's the reality, because it's only the few people that you really want to connect with and you have a discussion with them on a reasonable amount of time, whether that's on a friendly basis or a commercial basis or a corporate basis. And it's just those people that you're going to keep in touch with. I mean, that's the natural approach that's going to be taken. So consequently, why waste your time having thousands and thousands of connections when only a few really count? Let me share some research that you've heard of Dale Carnegie Foundation, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
And they're a big leadership group around the world, probably very well known, to be honest with you. Although there are lots of leadership groups, popping up everywhere these days. But Dale Carnegie are, in many respects, quite unique, because one of the very first books that I read, almost cover to cover, was How to Win Friends and Influence People, which was written by Dale Carnegie, I believe, or maybe someone writing for him. And this is on the basis of, in there, he talked about the power of between 5 and 10 people. In other words, your relationship basis. If you've got 5 to 10 people that you have a very good relationship with, and we'll talk about relationship in a second, but a very good relationship with, that's all you ever need to grow a business. It's because it's in some respects it's the power of one that's been written in recent years. And even now, today's research, which they do every year, says you only need 5 good relationships, and then you will be successful as a business. Sorry, I almost interrupted you. Jump in.
So, I just want to have a sort of a debate or a discussion, whatever you call it. See, in LinkedIn, I have 26,000 connections.
Wow. And you know them all personally. I know you do.
Well, I would say about 70% of them, but still 30% are still a gray area. Whether I knew them, I've forgotten, I don't know, but there are too many people in the first degree.
Yep.
And then when people send me a mutual connection request that, hey, I know so many people, the chances, specifically to my case, is that whoever sends me an connection request, I would see at least 500 mutual connections with that person. And that is the inherent quality of the LinkedIn network or a social media network. So my point is, when you are making these tips to our viewers, saying that, hey, you need only few connections which are meaningful to you, but on the contrary, the social media works in a totally different way.
Yep.
The social media basically help you expand your network. So I think, in my opinion, since I am trying to rebut what you're trying to say, in my opinion, the thing is that you have to know exactly what is running in people's mind, and don't send this carpet bombing type of request, because all it takes, it does not take your gray matter to send a canned message, which is also drafted by LinkedIn system itself. You don't even apply your mind to whom you're sending the connection request. So I would say my suggestion would be to, there's nothing wrong in sending the connection request. It is absolutely legit. Please do increase your network, but make sure that you convey the right message, because sending a wrong message will spoil your relationship with a person who you don't even know. You're just sending out of the blue. So I think
Yeah,
you have to do little research. You have to understand that guy's business model, and then at least send a message that, hey, I have something which you may or may not need, but at least I have done some research. So that gives a very positive feeling to the person, even though that person doesn't know you.
you're absolutely right. And interesting enough, we're not disagreeing at all, because the power of the LinkedIn network is actually demonstrating what Dale Carnegie is saying. You only really need to know 5 people, because those 5 people will know another 5, each of them. And those 5 people will know another 5. So that's how the network cascades out there. And if you've got a very strong message, and here's the key, it's the strength of the message. If you've got a very strong message that the 5 people that you're really well connected to like, believe, and are prepared to share, they will share it to the next 5. And then, dependent upon that relationship, they'll share it to the next 5. Or maybe it slips down to 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. So we're agreeing that the power of the LinkedIn network is humongous. We can always see first connections, second connections, and third connections. So there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be building your network with people that are related to others. But don't make the assumption that they know each other, because LinkedIn is a network that doesn't actually necessarily promote knowing other people. It's about networking with other people. You only get to know other people once you network with them and you send them a message and you say, hey, how about a discussion? What do you do? So just like you would in a normal networking arena, you go to I'm sure you go to networking sessions. Pre-COVID, you and I would have gone to a few networking sessions locally or internationally. I mean, when I'm visiting, I will regularly go and meet the local Lions Club or the local Rotary Club. And I'll ask in plenty of time in advance when these clubs meet and where they meet, and if my itinerary can actually make it so that I can go to that group of people. And the reason for that is I've got fantastic experiences with the Lions clubs around the world. The one that I joined and the one that they were affiliated to. Let's call it the Lion LinkedIn network. And equally, the Rotary LinkedIn network. There are Rotary clubs all over the world. I mean, in my local area, there are 7 within about a 10-mile radius. And there are about 20 or 30 members in each of those groups, and I can go to them on a regular basis. And when you go, you talk about other people. You discuss things, what's happening in your area, what's happening here, what's happening there, and you get to know people. But you've got to make that first break. So, I mean, the one message today is, if you're on LinkedIn and if you're going to grow your network, have a very clear purpose around who you're going to talk to. LinkedIn is a fantastic arena to show you lots of things up front, just like a website, without really knowing that person. And if you're going to sell, well, then sell, just sell right up front. I've got something that you might be interested in, but this is a selling opportunity. And it allows that person to say yes or no. Frankly, I'd much rather people say that rather than, oh, I see you're connected to a lot of people. It'd be good for us to connect with each other. And then the next email you get from them is, thanks for connecting. Here's what we do. A huge diatribe of, we're CEO experts, CTO experts, whatever it is, we're experts in this field. Well, that's great. I mean, but did I ask for this? It's lack of respect for the person you're talking to. You wouldn't do that in a physical networking session. You know, you would walk around with your business card that just goes like a cascade of credit cards that goes, shoop, this is what we do. Anyone interested? Come and join me. This is what this is for. Pop up. You know, an exhibition. This is what we do. Come on to our stand. We're nice people. So there's ways and means of doing all these things, but LinkedIn in particular, it's supposedly a professional network. Well, let's be professional about it. Let's have a proper discussion.
So, Neville, I think I understand where you're coming from, and I fully agree with you what you're saying, because these are definitely very, very important tips and very important and critical activity that everyone should follow on LinkedIn. From my experience, I would like to say that LinkedIn is not a platform where you actually sell. You actually don't try to sell anything to anyone, because that is not going to work. And I will repeat your words, Neville. You only buy from people whom you trust. So by sending a connection request and 100 other people mutually will not build a trust on one-on-one basis. You need to spend time with that person so that the trust is built over time, and then only you can start selling. So I think the first, from my point of view, selling is totally out of the window if you're on LinkedIn. What you can explore opportunities are of collaboration. So make your pitch. I think one advice I would like to give to my viewers is the pitch has to be of collaboration rather than selling. So I think they have to put their minds together where they actually come out with a collaborative way of driving mutual benefit from mutual connections. There's no point in identifying mutual connection and try to sell to them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, CK. And this is where, I suppose, in some respects, some platforms have not been very clear with their purpose. Let's take Facebook. Let's slip away from LinkedIn for the moment. There's Facebook, which is a book of faces. I mean, that's how it started. It was a dating website, effectively, on day one. But now you've got Facebook Marketplace. So it's redefining itself. There's another part of the platform which is about selling. And it makes no bones about it. This is a place where I've got something to sell. Are you looking? It's called a marketplace. I'm not giving words to LinkedIn here, but maybe they need a LinkedIn marketplace. But you're absolutely right. The point is, this is a professional network. Keep the conversation on a professional level. Imagine you're walking into a room and this person that you're going to go and talk to is in the corner and they're just having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. They may have just got there and you see them as they're on their own. And go and have a conversation with that person. If you've identified this person, go and have a conversation. Make it real. Like anything else, as you said, CK, if someone starts to sell immediately, the little brain just switches off. I mean, it used to do that all the time with me. I mean, I'm not here to be sold to.
Right.
These days, I will actually turn to someone and say, do you know what? I'm not really interested in what you've got to offer, and you're probably not interested in what I've got to offer. But let's see what we can do together. And using this word collaboration that you just said, this is about 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And that's what the LinkedIn network allows. So this 5 people means there's another 5 and another 5. And let's take another twist here, right? In a corporate, large organization, you may know lots of other people in lots of departments. But the reality of life is you can only manage, and I'm talking about really manage and motivate and work with about 10. And if you look in all of the best organizations around the world, they've never got more than 4 or 5 people reporting to that one person, even in a flat organization. And why is that? Because it does take a bit of time for you to get to know those 4 or 5 people, or maximum 10. In a sales team, you tend to find there's about 10 salespeople to a sales manager. And again, start thinking, well, why is that? Because actually, if a sales manager is doing their job properly, then they can only manage about 10 people. So we can take lots of similes in life, lots of metaphors that are out there, and bring them all together. And we'll come back to this LinkedIn. People buy from people they know and trust. Don't start selling. Build a relationship. You've heard me say this before, and I'm not the first person to say it, but from contact to contract is one letter, and it's the letter R. It's a big word, relationship. Relationship, 4 syllables. And a lot of people can't even get past the first, the relation, okay? So let's make it simple and just build the relationship. If you don't know how to do it, Google it and then practice it. Find something that you feel will work for you. Then don't find lots of other things. If you find one thing and say, oh yeah, that'll work, then go and practice. And keep practicing it until you prove it's working for you, or you prove, actually, I need something else. It's not quite working. I need to go and find something else. And then go and find something else and practice that. As they say, any practice makes permanent. It's only the right practice that makes perfect. Simple tips for today.
Yeah, Neville, I think you gave us a very nice or fine food for thought today. And I think it is affecting almost like 99% of the people. The tool is there for networking. LinkedIn is a very good professional tool. It helps you a lot because you can sit one corner of the world and you can network with another corner. But you have to know exactly what you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what is your purpose. So I think you should not waste away a tool like LinkedIn. I feel that the people who are watching this video will gain immensely after hearing your thought process and some of your advices, and then change their pitch from selling to collaboration. So I think with that, we can end our discussion today, only to catch up tomorrow, Neville.
See you tomorrow. And I hope you're just listening, folks, because it's the purpose that's important. There's lots of people telling you how to do it afterwards. Get your purpose right. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Neville, and you have a nice day. We'll catch up tomorrow.
Good to see you, CK. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.